Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the Grey Zone with Ali Manzoor, a show where we challenge assumptions, stereotypes, viewpoints on various complex issues, and hopefully foster critical thinking. My guest today is a voice of credibility and authority. He has built one of the most recognized personal brands in Dubai's real estate industry. His journey is a case study from property to leadership, entrepreneurship, and social media. He started working in real estate since he was 16, holds a bachelor's degree in accounting and finance, and an MBA from Michigan. He is the CEO of Springfield Properties and has over 205,000 followers on his YouTube and over 272,000 followers on Insta. Farooq, welcome to the show. This is such an honor and privilege.
Thank you, Ali. I have been watching your podcast for a while now, and I was waiting for the day that I would be here and be able to sit down with you face to face.
Oh my God, I'm so touched. Acha, so I want to ask, is Farooq in the business of property or is he in the business of selling dreams?
Honestly, it's, I think, a bit of both. So we are in the business of selling real estate, but personally, I do a lot of high ticket value sales, and a lot of people that are buying their house, it's a dream come true for a lot of people. So I do think that it's a bit of both. At the end of the day, we are in the property business, but there is a lot of dreams that we sell as well, because a lot of the properties we sell are also under construction. So it is a dream home for many people. So I think it's a bit of both.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Farooq about Farooq. And tell me, is Farooq successful or is he just lucky?
Farooq is a hard worker. All right. And I think success follows. When you work and you put in the hours, success does follow. So, alhamdulillah, I think it's a blessing. And definitely there is, success at the end of the road if you do put in all the hours of hard work, and success.
So you remember that line from Three Idiots? Success ki, excellence ke piche jao, success khud follow karega.
Bilkul. Yeah, I do remember that actually.
Yeah.
Wangdam Waudu, kya naam tha uska? That was the name of the guy, right?
Yeah.
Amir Khan's name.
Anyways, right. So you've done an amazing job in branding yourself as a brand, right? And Dubai and Abu Dhabi are also brands, and they stand comparable to cities like New York, London. So what has UAE understood about branding that others haven't?
Dubai has been branding itself for the last 50 years. People think it's only happened in the last 10 or 15, but no. I'm, now 36th year in Dubai. I've lived there all my life.
You're 36?
I'm 36 now. Yes,
you
sir.
look 25.
Thank you. Ali Manzoor knows how to keep his guests happy. But yeah, even 30 years ago, I remember my father always used to say, when they opened up the first golf course in the UAE, this is actually even more than 30 years ago. Everyone said, who's going to play golf in the desert? There's nothing here. Why are they doing this? Because UAE was going on that road of branding itself as a sports destination, as a tourism destination, as a business destination. Then they started doing, the tennis championship in the UAE. Everyone said, which UAE local or Emirati plays tennis? Literally hardly anybody. Then they started off with cricket. There was the Sharjah Cricket Stadium and the Dubai Cricket Stadium and the Abu Dhabi Cricket Stadium.
Not
exactly all of those big games that used to happen. That was 20, 30 years back. So they started branding themselves in the line of sports, in the line of, obviously all of these things bring the tourism. Then the tourism eventually is an introduction to your country. Then it attracts people to start and setting up bases there, or their business base, and then eventually a home base for people. And that's how the city has grown. So they've been in the branding business for a very long time. And now, of course, when you think of Dubai itself, if there's any fashion brand that has to open internationally, it first opens up in, let's say, LA, and then the second has to be London, the third has to be Dubai now. This is the top 4 or 5 cities in the world which attracts fashion, attracts brands. And I think it's the hard work of the leaders going back 5 decades. It's not an overnight success story. Dubai has been in the making for the last 50 years.
What do other cities need to learn from this?
They need to learn how honest and how, devoted Dubai's leadership is. Because that is the one factor. There's many other countries that have had oil money, have had, money with resources, gold, minerals, but the way that UAE has handled that money and built an infrastructure when it comes to tourism, when it comes to business, when it comes to every aspect of society, how they've built that. Of course, there's always been that help from oil money and all of that, but there's been so many countries that have had
So you're saying sincerity of leadership is the fundamental ingredient?
100%. I think if there's that one thing that defines the UAE separate from everyone else, is because the leaders set the tone. They set the, the basic groundwork. They use that money to build, like I just mentioned, golf courses and tennis championships and cricket. I mean, everything, you name it, it's happening in the UAE. Building the malls, building
There's an ice skating rink in the middle of a desert.
literally everything. I mean, there's so much going on in Dubai, and at the end of the day, it's the leadership that has, guided the country in that direction.
So Farooq, you've sold property worth billions. I think billions and billions. If not in dirhams, at least in dollars, you
100%.
have, right? Okay, so I've been wanting to ask you this, that when someone is buying property, and not just in Dubai, let's say anywhere, is that purchase a psychological decision, or is it also square footage in that equation?
It is a mix of both, of course, square footage based on the amount of space that you need, but psychological, definitely. I think if you live in a certain area, you'll be surrounded by certain type of people. You would want your kids to go to school with a certain kind of kids. Networking plays a big role in a city like Dubai, where you want to come and meet new people, especially if you're moving from overseas. If you want to live with your community, there's a certain kind of people that live in Marina, for example. If you want to be surrounded by more Europeans, you'd want to be in an area like maybe Palm Jumeirah or an area like Dubai Marina. If you want to be more, let's say, in a community, in a villa community where people have young kids and they're not really partying every weekend, then you'd want to move more towards a community style living. So, and of course, where you stay also says a lot about the kind of person you are. So affordability. So if you can afford a 30 million dirham villa, then you would want to live in an area like Palm Jumeirah, or you'd want to live in, I don't know, if you want to go higher than that, then Dubai Hills, Emirates Hills, there's no upper ceiling in Dubai,
So you're saying it's a bit of both. It's psychographics as well as, let's say,
100%.
square footage that plays a very
100%.
important part.
I think to a certain extent, your address says a lot about you as a person.
Yeah.
So people do have that. I mean, why would someone, buy a Rolls Royce as compared to buying a regular, a Mercedes Benz does the exact same job a Rolls Royce does. But some people want to be seen driving a Rolls Royce. So similarly, some people want to be seen living in Palm Jumeirah versus having that same size of villa in a more of a suburban community.
So having the wrong address, can it close doors for me in a place like, let's say, Dubai?
I wouldn't say close doors for you. Now you're asking me tough questions. Close doors? No, you should ask the opposite question. Can it help you open doors?
So
yes.
I flipped the
Please,
question
please,
to you, right?
guys, flip that question. Can
Okay.
it open doors?
Okay.
Yes, I think it can open doors for you. 100%.
So let me answer again.
No. I'll answer it the way you're asking it. Can it close doors? Maybe not.
Okay.
But can it open doors? 100%.
Okay.
There are people that want to network with a certain kind of people. But personally, I do think your personality makes a big difference as well. If you want to meet new people, you want to be that person that is sociable,
Likeable.
Likeable.
So in real estate, we hear a lot of terms. It's like market is falling, bubble is about to burst.
What? Who says these words?
This is the time to buy. The market is in transition.
You're sitting with a real estate guy. You don't use these words. Please be careful. Sorry.
So
Carry on, Ali.
Okay, so the market is in transaction. Are these just jargons that are actually, or do they mean something? I mean, what do they mean in simple terms?
I mean, of course, it always depends. Are you looking to buy or looking to sell? We were just having a discussion where we were meeting a broker.
Okay.
Since I'm here in Karachi, there's a friend of ours who's a broker. So he came to our house and he's like, oh my God, आजकल तो market जो है ना ऐसी pick हुई हुई है आप बस, because I mentioned that we're maybe in the hopes of looking to buy a plot of land and a plot of commercial land. He's like, commercial? Oh, वो तो भाई
Commercial ही चढ़ी है.
commercial ही चढ़ी है. And then later on we were having a discussion. हमने कहा था हमने गलती कर दी. हमें इससे कहना चाहिए था we're thinking of selling. फिर वो जो ना वो flip हो जाता
The
नहीं
whole
नहीं
pitch would have changed.
The pitch would have changed. No, but market is falling. Of course, it depends on the market as well. Dubai, in general, right now, of course, it's been a bit of a slow time for the last 3 months with the geopolitical situation which is going on. But I think there's no better time than to buy when, others are fearful. A lot of international people are very fearful in Dubai right now based on what's happening. And I think that opens up an opportunity for people that do have that. That's something we were discussing right before this podcast is people that have or know UAE and they understand the DNA of the city of Dubai or Abu Dhabi or any other city in the UAE. They understand that this is a temporary situation. They believe this is going to come back very, very quickly once decides to stop this everything that's going on. I do believe the market is going to rebound very quickly. So currently, the current situation creates a good entry for a lot of people, and I think that could be beneficial for people who are investing right now. So yes, it's a slow time for the market, but it is also a good entry point for a lot of investors.
If I was to compare this to COVID or the previous busts that have happened or the bursts that have happened when there was the one in 2007, the one before that, how would this be different?
The prices right now have not had that big a hit that they had in 2008. So I started my real estate career, let's say our journey, our company was formed in 2008, right before the financial crisis, the global financial crisis. And at that time, property transactions were nearly at a standstill. Dubai property lost in certain areas 50% of its value. All right, something that was worth 5 million was now automatically worth 2.5 million. It took a while for the global economy, because Dubai is not, of course, shelter to the global economy, right? A lot of our buyers are international people. So a lot of money flows from overseas. So when that money stopped flowing in, it took time for Dubai's real estate market to recover. And remember, if I remember correctly, it was 2 to 3 years before the market really started picking up again, which was 2011 or so. Okay. In COVID, what happened? The rebound was very quick. Once Dubai opened up its doors, it was maybe 6-8 months, the prices started coming back, and within a year and a half, market was, there was a huge boom in Dubai's real estate market towards the end of 2021. This time, I think the rebound will be much faster. I don't think it'll take a year and a half. I think overall, from the point at the point that we are in right now, I think the rebound will be much faster. And I think that's the general consensus of the investors in the UAE.
Okay, so now these days, people aren't just buying properties in their own cities or sometimes even in their own countries. And some people are buying property that is thousands and thousands of miles away. So a question I often ask people is, what is the reason for buying? Is it future wealth, or is it safety? Or what is it really, the driving behavior, in your expert opinion, of people buying property thousands of miles away?
So wealth preservation is one of the main reasons. So a lot of people that are buying in Dubai have the money and they want to preserve that money. Second is aspirational properties. So sometimes people who are living, for example, someone who's living in Karachi wants to have a second base. What other place better than Dubai? Because it's 1.5 hours away. You have 10 flights a day, I think, to Dubai. You can be in Dubai and leave, finish your business meetings all day and then fly over and have dinner in Dubai. That's how close we are. So it's a very, we always say, I think nearly 1/3 of the world's population lives, within a few hours away from Dubai. So that, you have India, you have Pakistan, you have Iran, you have Bangladesh, Nepal, all the, the Arab countries as well are, a few hours away from Dubai, and Dubai is a hub. So for that reason, and people love to come down to Dubai for shopping, for the restaurants, for the scene. So, it becomes sort of a second base. What other better place than Dubai? So a lot of people are buying for that reason. And overall, the market's been doing so well that if today in Karachi, a millionaire is sitting and he's losing the dollar value of his rupee, it becomes a way to even preserve your wealth or, shelter it from the currency risk that you might have in different countries. So because the UAE dirham is pegged to the dollar and property is relatively stable and it's actually going up quite a bit. If you take the time of 25 years since, Dubai has been selling, actually less than 25 years, that they've been selling real estate, the trend has been upwards. So I think that's the third and the biggest reason for people to buy is because they do believe the market's going up.
So I'm going to ask you a counter question here then, right? Over the last decade, Bitcoin has risen by 1,000%, right? Creating millionaires that perhaps people in modern history could never have seen.
Of course.
Technology stocks have also multiplied multifold. Venture capital has also seen a lot of money. So, and even some startups have found some real wealth creation. So, can real estate really match that charm?
People invest in real estate because they want to see, feel, touch, and you have a physical asset that holds value long term. All right, a company can go bust. Nokia at one point of time was killing it. A decade later, its stock is worth nothing. There have been companies that have risen very quickly, but there are companies that have fallen down as well. So when investors want to invest, even same thing with Bitcoin, it's a lot more volatile. Real estate becomes, when I say wealth preservation, people want to park it. Of course, there are companies, don't get me wrong, there's the Fortune 500 companies that are very, stable as well. You invest in a blue chip company. But real estate, everywhere around the world, is a fairly solid asset.
Okay.
Where else do you put your money? I mean, if someone had 100 million dirhams, they would always invest a part of it maybe in high risk, medium risk, and then real estate is on your low risk category, and then you'll have gold or any other sort of completely low risk opportunities. But real estate for anyone.
So you don't think that there's no charm in real estate? I mean, when I compare it to crypto, when I compare it
No
to
charm. Of course, there's so much charm. This is the charm that you have low risk investment. You can see, feel, touch. You can use it. You can. It gives you a return, but of course, so does stocks. They give you a dividend. This gives you annual rental return. Gold gives you nothing per year. Only once you sell it, you can make some money out of it. Crypto doesn't pay you a return. It just goes up in value. Real estate pays you a return and it goes up in value and you can use it. So there's a lot of other benefits also of real estate.
Okay, so Farooq, a lot of people aspire to be like you, right? And I'm not going to ask you the secret of your hairstyle.
Oh, guys, my hairline is receding. Ali, please, it's a sensitive topic.
But that signature hairstyle that makes
Thank
Farooq,
God.
okay? What I will ask you is, how do you build trust with someone in a few minutes of meeting them?
Build trust. In sales in general, we're always saying that this is an exchange of trust. You will never buy a house from someone who you don't trust. And why would you trust somebody?
Okay.
Let me flip this question to you, Ali. Okay. When you meet somebody, what are the first few things that you look at them or you judge them by that will lead you to trust what they are saying? Once again, in a professional setting, not in a friendly setting. Let's just talk about real estate, buy a house. What would be the first few things that you look at that make you feel like, this is someone I can trust?
They're telling me what I want to hear regarding what I'm asking, their appearance, how well groomed or well kept they are, for example, because this person is going to sell something. So what do they say about themselves?
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, they have to have what you said, a likable personality, someone who I can like and talk to. But
what about their experience and their knowledge? I think in a few minutes, if you are buying real estate, you're a relatively smart person, you're someone who's fairly successful, because of course, if you're not successful, you're not buying real estate. Okay. The first few things that you're going to look at, of course, what you've said is correct, the way they groom, those are the basics. Okay. There's a lot of people that groom themselves very well, look better than me, dress better than me, those are the basics. Okay. But I think what really makes you trust them with your money, because real estate is not a small, you're not buying clothes. Sure, someone's been pushy to you, you're sure you'll buy a couple of shirts because they're, the great salesperson they push. But real estate is a fairly large transaction.
Okay.
What I think people will trust you by is the kind of knowledge that you have. In a few minutes, you can tell what this person is made up of in terms of their knowledge, their integrity. I think it's a mixture of experience. In my case, I think the social media presence makes a big difference as well, because a lot of people that I meet have already done basic research about who I am. In today's day and age, if somebody's coming to buy a $10 million plus property, they're not going to just meet anybody. They will look at who am I deciding to give my 1 hour to or my 2 hours to. If you're coming out to look at a property, you are spending a couple of hours to go out of your way or your day to go and meet somebody. You want to make sure whoever you're meeting is worth my time.
So if I was to make that, and you're asking me, I would say, first of all, why would I come to Farooq? A, he's knowledgeable. B, he has a lot of followers. Fine. Okay.
No, but social media does make a difference, right? Because you see and you're like, okay, this guy sounds like a smart guy.
But more than that, what would make Farooq stand out? The knowledge is at the end of the day the same, right? If it's X property facing West Open, that's the knowledge that's going to be there, right? But there's something that's passion. And I think if you were to ask me, passion can come across in a few seconds when you're passionate about something, right? And like the way I see you passionate about property. You're sitting there, we'll be sitting there, we'll be having coffee, I'll meet you in Dubai, I'll meet you in Karachi. And I can see you're so passionate that I just have to mention some project or anything. Boom! You're going to start about this is a great project and I see this going here and here. It's like the word.
I'm selling it.
But they're coming, you're not selling it. You're feeling it. You're experiencing the emotion. So I think along with knowledge and all, it's about passion that you can, influence someone because you can tell when someone's genuinely passionate about it.
And especially if it's a subject of your interest, like you said.
Yeah. So do you think the universe hears you and then manifests what you're thinking?
Oh,
do you believe in that?
I'm a huge manifester. Of course, I'm a fairly religious person. So my manifests also lead to praying to God and asking Him for things. And, I believe I have a very strong relationship with Allah. So I do ask Him a lot. And when you manifest, you put it out there. First of all, it's a manifestation is just literally you're setting goals for yourself that you can go back to and think about it. And at least you should know what direction you're going in, right? I actually print out my goals every year, and I have a frame that I bought from IKEA for 27 dirhams, best investment I ever did. Every year, I print out an A4 paper with my goals of the year, and I jot them down and I put it up there.
Can
and
you send
every
me a
year,
picture of that, and I want to share it with my
sure.
audience?
I'll send it. It's on my dressing table.
Yeah.
It's literally where I have all my.
So I want to share it.
It's there every year. I do it every year, by the way, and I still have all of my previous years.
Okay.
Paper there in the same frame. So that same frame every year, like it's 2025, I put it up. 2026, I print out another A4 and I put it on top. So it has my business goals. It has whatever I wish to achieve. This year I want to have this many number of agents. This year I want to net this amount of profit. This year I want to hit this sales target. This year I want to have these different metrics that I want to grow on. This year I want to have this target when it comes to social media. I want to do these many
And
posts.
what happens? You wake up every morning and you see it?
No, not every morning, but once a week I'll pass by it because it becomes a part of your furniture, right? So it's there. It's there. You might not, of course, not every day I'll read the same 14 things that I don't know how many it is, 12, 13, 14 things that I've written on that. But once a week I look at it and I'm like, oh, I'm behind on this, and this.
थोड़ा personal branding पे आ जाते हैं, right? Jeff Bezos, I have to quote him here. He said, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? Today, visibility itself is considered a business asset.
100%.
How important has personal branding become today and where does it start?
It starts on social media. Okay. It's huge.
Okay.
Today we're talking about a coffee shop that opened up over here that's doing super successfully because it's owned by a big social media influencer.
Okay.
In Pakistan. And, the fact that he opened up, there was so much hype that, oh my God, this guy's opening up a store. Getting those eyeballs to a business is very hard with conventional marketing unless you have a big budget. And most entrepreneurs do not start with big budgets. For me, in my personal capacity, social media has played a huge role. People look at it and when you spoke about trust a little bit earlier, how do I get people to trust me? I can't keep talking about my successes in the first 5 minutes of a conversation with a new client. But now when I meet somebody who's already seen my personal brand, the guy, he might be a super successful guy, but now he knows that if I'm meeting Farooq, he has something to say that could be beneficial for me. So I better listen to this guy. He's not going to come in and talk about, hey, I'm a big business. No, he knows I'm sitting with somebody who runs a very successful firm, who's been in this business for a long time. So let me listen to what he has to say. All of that happens, that respect, that trust is built because of a personal brand. So for me, in my business, because it's high value sales, high ticket value sales, it makes a huge difference. And not just high ticket value, we just spoke about a coffee store that opened up that is doing great business because of the owner, one of the owners, having a powerful social personal brand. So today, for any entrepreneur, get on social media. You might think you're doing a boring business. You know, I have friends who are like, oh, but I'm in the manufacturing business. There's not much to, like, what do I show? I don't have like nice, fancy things to show. I said, you know what? There was this guy who became super famous in China because he makes lights.
Yeah.
Like lights. Like, there can't be a business less fancy than making lights. This guy has millions and millions of followers just by showing the kind of lights that he makes in that same factory.
Day in and day out.
Day in and day out. He's showing off his personality. He's showing off the product. People are now trusting his product. They understand that, okay, wow, this guy has all sorts of light boxes. He's added a little bit of a touch of his own personality into it. Of course, you have to do something on social media to attract attention. But he's advertising very successfully a lights business.
So I want to ask you this then. So let's say Mr. A, who's watching you right now, says, okay, I want to go on social media. Second problem is, should he now let social media, whether it's a YouTube page or a Facebook or Instagram, whatever, should he let it grow naturally or should he spend now money on marketing
No,
it?
I personally think you need to let it grow naturally. If you start spending money from day one, the algorithm understands that you're somebody who wants to spend money to get famous. So when you are not spending money, you're not going to get visibility. So personally, I'm a big believer because I have personally never spent a dime on personal marketing on Instagram on an ad. Maybe once or twice, maybe for a specific product or specific project. If a developer gave me a budget and said, you know what, spend 30 grand on this or spend 10 grand on this specific video about my product, that might be different. But overall, when I started off on YouTube, never spent a single dirham on advertising. When I started and I got, I've crossed 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, not spent a single dirham on advertising or single rupee on advertising. And if somebody really wants to promote and, I would say you do it, but be smart about it. Don't just think that you could become a social media celebrity just by spending money. You have to keep up with the trends, look at what the algorithm, you need to show off yourself, your personality, and trust me, there's a market for everything.
You know what FOMO means, right?
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out, right? And that is something that really drives a lot of decisions today, especially in the marketing world. Whether it's traveling, whether it's shopping, whether it's an asset purchase. Would you agree that there are other variables and individuals also at play when it comes to property decisions, or is it just FOMO?
No, I don't think it's FOMO. First of all, property requirement is a genuine requirement somebody has, right? So especially if you're buying a home, it's not just FOMO. Sure, sometimes when the market is on a bull run and your wife is nudging you, hey, why are we not buying our first home? We're paying so much in rent. So yes, sure, FOMO might have some, but no, there are other things as well. And I always say affordability is the main thing. When you have enough to afford your first home, it's a natural progression for somebody, to go and buy their first home. And then when they're making enough, after they invest in those bitcoins and stocks and everything, then the leftover, let's say, percentage of their net worth, what money they make, they have to put it into real estate because it's a generations old wealth preservation tool.
Yeah, as you put it earlier also. Okay, so let's talk about the lifestyle and attributes of the uber wealthy. And they're always aspirational, especially to people like me, right? And you've met thousands of buyers. Some of them are extremely, extremely affluent, right? So what is the one thing that wealthy people notice immediately that average buyers overlook?
When it comes to real estate, it's the attention to little detail. Okay. So, for example, if somebody is walking in with a 5 million dirham budget, the things he's looking at are more space, how much am I getting for how much I'm spending. Then you have buyers, let's say in the 20 to 25 million range, where they'll be looking at also things like community, the kind of place I'm living in, the kind of address that I have, the kind of, when you go up the ladder, it's more about, for real estate, people will notice things like the finishing and quality and all of those things are definitely, but what is the special thing about this piece of real estate? How replicatable is it? Like, for example, if I'm buying a piece of real estate at the top of a mountain, that view, is it replicatable? So when you're going into the uber wealthy, people want to have more unique pieces of real estate.
Okay.
So which are not replicatable. I think that is what makes the uber wealthy different from the regular wealthy.
So that's what they're looking at?
Something that is not replicatable. Something that is unique, is one of one. If I buy this and I want to go to the market tomorrow, I define the price, not my neighbors. I don't have, 100 comps in the market or comparables on the market. If I want to sell my property, I define the price.
Okay.
Because it's one of one.
So what's easier to sell? Uber luxury properties or standard?
See, we sell, I always say we are the supermarket of real estate. You could buy a property for $500,000 at Springfield and you could buy a property worth 500 million dirhams at Springfield.
Okay.
Of course, we sell a lot more of the 2 million dirhams to 5 million range. We sell less of the 5 to 10. We sell even less of the 10 to 20 million. And we sell even less of the 20 to 50 million. And we sell even less of the 50 million and 100 million plus properties.
Okay.
So of course, the lower end of the market, there's a lot more transactions. When you go higher end, it's lesser transactions, but of course those transactions bring you a lot more in terms of profit, in terms of business. So if you ask me today, we are a team of over 250 brokers. So we're not only focused at selling the 100 million dirham properties, we're more focused on achieving larger overall value of sale. And that comes when you are selling a lot of property, not just a lot of one or two single
So it's a volume
sales.
game?
It's a volume game, 100%
At
for
the end
us.
of the day, is that what you'd say?
For me today,
Yeah.
it's a volume game.
Okay.
It's a volume game.
Doesn't matter.
What we're selling, of course it matters. We want to sell what we believe in, and the vision of my personal vision when it comes to real estate does seep through to the rest of the team. If there's a project that I personally am very passionate about, like recently there was a launch of Mudan that I was extremely passionate about. I bought a villa there. I told my entire team that I've purchased a villa in this launch in the middle of this war and whatever's happening in the world. I'm purchasing over here because of X, Y, Z reasons. So of course the team was like, wait a second, what is this product? Let's understand it better and let's really confidently push it to the team. So like you said, the passion seeps through the entire team and then they're able to achieve larger volumes when it comes to those certain products that you're very passionate about. So for me, at this point of time, it's a volume game. Yeah. We want to sell more and more number of houses as much as possible. And that's the reason why, we focus more on what's selling more rather than just those 200 or 300 million dirham trophy assets.
Trophy assets. So everyone asks you about advice that you would give. But I'm going to flip this one. What is a piece of common advice in business or real estate that you strongly disagree with?
That I strongly disagree with? Yeah. That's a tough question. What is the kind of advice? So first of all, I listen to everyone, but I don't take everybody's advice. Okay. So a lot of people, advice is something that people love to give. You have to be selective on what advice you really listen to and implement.
Okay.
So, there's all sorts of advice people give that I do not agree with.
Okay.
People have told me, don't do this. When I was opening an office in Abu Dhabi, I had so many very successful people giving me this advice. No, don't open an office in Abu Dhabi. Why? We were so unsuccessful. This A, B, C, D, E, F were the challenges we faced. Don't do this business. Don't do. I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, wow, thanks for that advice, but I'm going ahead.
Yeah.
But when you listen to that advice, you do pick things For example, if something that you did, I'm just using my recent experience of opening a new office in a new city, which a lot of people advised me against, but it's been super successful for me in the 6 months.
Okay. And what is the secret for that?
It has been one of the reasons why, just because Abu Dhabi market has been picking up, our timing was excellent. The moment we went there, there were mega projects that were announced. All right. I guess we got lucky that we've hired a very good team there.
You think Farooq has a Midas touch?
Huh? I hope to think so. I hope.
Do you think that you go and touch something and suddenly it becomes successful?
Like I said, I'm a very positive and optimistic person. So I wouldn't say that whatever I touch turns to gold. I think that would be maybe blowing my trumpet a bit too much. But I do think that, if you do take calculated risks in business. I mean, I did a risk of, let's say, opening a new business in a new city, but I planned for it. I said, okay, this is what I can afford to spend. This is what I can afford to lose. This is the ABCD. This is thanks to some people giving me good advice of not opening a business there. These are the few other things that I got to take care of. So it's a calculation, right? At the end of the day. And I'm not saying everything works well. We've done other things in the past that have not worked well. I've also, by the way, been responsible for closing a couple of businesses.
Oh.
So
it's not all that Midas.
No.
Okay.
Restaurant business was a huge flop for us, not a huge flop,
You
but
opened a
we
restaurant?
made money. We owned 2 restaurants. My family, when I was 22, 23 years old, we had a rent-a-car company as well.
So you were saying you opened a restaurant, you opened a rent-a-car business as a family also. So
And they were not very successful, we did end up selling them and not losing money, but whatever we planned for, they weren't as profitable as what we planned for. We soon realized it's a very tough business for us to get into. So real estate has always been, like I would say, successful for us, but there have been other businesses that were not.
So Farooq, I want to ask you one last question. A lot of people look at real estate business, especially in the UAE and Dubai, and they're sitting here and they say, if you could go there, it's going to be very easy, it's going to be successful, I'm going to be driving like Farooq in a G-Wagon or a Lamborghini or whatever, and life will be good. Give us a dose of reality. What exactly is it for someone who wants to come and start working for real estate?
It's not for everyone. You have to be realistic, like you said. You have to have a realistic mindset as to the amount of hustle I need to put in. Because whatever you see on social media, all your real estate influencers, including myself, we are just showing our success. We're showing this guy sold so much real estate. This team member, I'm ringing the bell. He sold 16 million. I'm ringing the bell. This guy sold 10 million. This guy did this. That guy did this. I'm not necessarily showing off the guy that hasn't sold in 4 months, because that's not something to talk about on social media. So when people are getting brainwashed by somebody selling 10 million, somebody selling 16 million, somebody buying a G-Wagon, somebody buying a Lamborghini, somebody just, taking
Buying their
vacations.
branded watch at a vacation.
And then going on a vacation.
Whatever, right?
You're only seeing the positive sides of real estate, which is good as well. You have to try to be like them, right? You have to, work towards that goal. However, there's a lot of people that are very unsuccessful as well in real estate. So if he writes you off, he's written you off. In real estate, people meet multiple brokers and then they buy from one. You have to make sure that you are that one.
Wow. I'm feeling motivated talking to you. Maybe I should quit podcasting and, come to Dubai, have like that 50,000 dirhams in my
Real
pocket.
estate.
So that was it for the Grey Zone with Ali Manzoor this week. We'll be back inshallah next week with another episode. Until then, stay curious, stay critical, and keep asking questions. Because between the black and the white lies the grey.